So in this world that's could be influenced by everything you mentioned.
Yep.
Certainly, I'm assuming the.
I mean, how Mifflin Harcourt right now is for sale, and that so is Simon and Schuster, I think, and both of them are owned by larger corporate entities. So that's a stock market thing. Like if their investors decide that they don't want to spend a lot of money on books, like that does trickle down somewhat to how the editors can spend money.
So with all those factors coming into play, how do you make your peace with a business that's crazy, and how should authors make their peace with so much that's out of the control of all the artists involved?
Yeah. Oh, well, that is a great question. And what I tend to say is control what you can control. And that is the quality of your writing and what you are putting into that writing. Like you can't control when a book is going to strike an editor at the perfect time, or whether the editor will be at the perfect house to acquire that book. You can do some research and things like that will help you know what place is best. Or agents like always have their ear to the ground for all these sort of things and these underground rumblings. But what writers can control is the story that they have to tell, and how good that story is. And you can think about and maybe also like you can control what story you want to put out in the world at the time. I mean, coming back to Harry Potter for just a minute, I don't actually think this was intentional on J.K. Rowling's part, but the fact that she wrote like a huge amount of the success of Harry Potter, I think, can be attributed to it being published starting in the year 1997. Because you know what else was starting in the year 1997 was the internet. And if there ever a book was designed for being discussed by people on the internet, a book series was designed for that, it was Harry Potter. And also the largest high school graduating class of all time graduated in 2008. How old were those people in 2008? And when 1997, they were 9 or 10. They were the perfect age for Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling could not control any of that. She could control the story that she put out there. And then she happened to have the massive good luck of having a huge audience of exactly the right age who all got on the internet and got passionate about discussing these books at the same time, And so, but what she could control was the writing. And she got rejected by I forget whether it was 12 or 21 or whatever publishers, because at the time she was putting the book out there originally, everybody was like, fantasy, bah, but she believed in the book. And so she kept going. And then the time changed and times changed, and it turned out to be the right time for everything because she had a good book. It was exciting to read.
Is it an apocryphal tale was it author Levine's daughter that discovered the manuscript and said, "Hey, let's publish this," or was that somebody at Bloomsbury in UK?
I don't know about daughter. Arthur was given a galley of the book at the Bologna Book Fair by somebody who worked at Bloomsbury.
Okay.
And so it wasn't his daughter, but he doesn't have a daughter actually. But
okay, well, case closed.
Yeah, case closed. But it might have been the agent's daughter or something like that. So yeah.
Well, with that particular book, I know there's so many apocryphal tales. I'm never certain what's actually real, and right. I want to talk about Leon Loeb, but since we came back to Harry Potter, one more burning question on that. Sure. Having had that experience, and obviously, when I talked with Thomas Taylor, who's the author of The Wonderful Malamander, check the back catalog, esteemed audience. He's worth listening to. His books are worth reading. Great author. But he also designed the UK cover for Harry Potter and the Philosopher's
Oh, that's right.
Stone. And so when I asked him about it, because of course, among all the other questions I had for him, he admitted that at times he wished he hadn't been a part of that because he always has to live up and live past that and step outside of the shadow of the biggest series that probably has ever existed or close to. Certainly for, I don't know, you would be the person to ask, what's bigger than Harry Potter in the world of children's fiction?
maybe there's not much. I mean, not in hardcover. I mean, things like Rick Riordan, maybe. But and there's like Goosebumps and Magic Tree House and Junie B. Jones, and there's lots of chapter book series that have sold millions of copies just chugging along and don't get the respect that they deserve, for the work that they do down there. But in terms of middle grade or YA hardcover, there's basically Harry and Hunger Games and Rick Riordan, and I feel kind of like that's it. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, my question was coming from that and going forward, knowing that I don't know, maybe J.K. Rowling comes up with an idea for another Harry Potter, and she says, "Hey, let's get the gang back together." But short of that, it's not that likely that you're ever going to catch that kind of lightning in a bottle again, or be a part of something quite that huge. Is that a relief, or do you prefer to work on books that have a dedicated fan base and an audience that you're going to reach, but that you don't have to go on Nightline and address the whole world?
Honestly, like, I think I do think Harry was like, oh, I mean, I take no responsibility for being part of it, for creating it in any way. I was just sort of caught up in riding the lightning. My own take on it is more that, like, I want the thing that I can control, coming back to the idea of what you can control. I can't control whether any books will ever sell that well again. And to some extent, I don't expect any book to ever sell that well again. Just because I think that the internet has moved on, or the world has moved on. Attention spans are a lot more fractured now. Things are, it's a lot harder to capture people's minds and attention, I think, in the way that Harry did at that one time. Anything now that's published will get compared to Harry, whereas Harry, there wasn't really anything to compare it to, other than in terms of sales before that. So I don't really expect any. I would love to find the thing that I would love to find a book that sells it well, of course. But really, what I would love to find more is a book that makes people feel the way that Harry Potter felt. In the sense that it sweeps people up into a magical world. You fall in love with the characters, or more accurately, perhaps you feel like the characters are your friends, and you want to hang out with them, even if they're just like sitting around bickering about Quidditch or some other obscure sport, and you want to unravel the mysteries, and you want to go on this magical adventure and feel like you're learning things within the magical world. Like, so I would love to find a book that does that, even if it's set in our real world, and it's not a fantasy. I would love to find a book that does that, certainly starring a kid of color that has that same warmth and loveliness. And again, going back to the things I can control, like, I can't control necessarily whether that book will come to me, and I can't control whether it'll sell $1 million or sell 1 million copies. But I can control the books I choose to publish, and the level of editorial attention I give them, and the work that I do on them to try to make them as appealing as possible for the readers who are going to find them and who need them. So I try to bring that same, like, whether I think a book is going to sell 1 million copies or sell 10,000 copies, I try to bring that same level of dedication and thoughtfulness and love to it to make it the best book that it can be for what it's going to be. And that's the thing I can control.